Welcome to this Forest Park New Media screencast. This screencast will show you how to do the HeadSwap activity using Photoshop CS4. Okay, your first step after you download your pictures into your iPhoto is to go find the pictures. They'll probably be listed as an event, an untitled event. So here are the two pictures that I'm going to use, myself and my partner. I'm going to highlight those two pictures and I need to get them out of iPhoto. So I'm going to open a window over here on the side to my student folder, and hopefully you have somewhere new media files go in your student folder. You're going to take these pictures after they're highlighted, you're going to click and hold on them and drag them into whatever folder you have on your student folder. Okay, you're finished with iPhoto, so you can close iPhoto or minimize it because you now have the files out of iPhoto in your student folder. Some different ways to open these into Photoshop. One way is to go to the dock and launch Photoshop. If Photoshop is not on your dock, you can open a Finder window, go to Applications, and the program is named Adobe Photoshop, so it starts with an A, and it's Adobe Photoshop CS4. So I'm going to click on this folder, and here is the program icon. Now, if it's not on your dock, just like we did with some of the other programs in class, you can take and drag by clicking and holding. Take and drag this down and put it on the dock so that it's there for later. So one way to obviously get to your files is to go into Photoshop and do a File Open. And you would navigate to where your files are located, and you would open them up one at a time. And that's how you can open your files. Now that we're here in Photoshop, you will notice that both files did open in the same window. One of the nice new features with this program is it doesn't fill up your desktop with a bunch of files open at once. It keeps everything in one window, and you can click on these little tabs to navigate back and forth between the files that you have open. So we'll be doing this as we continue on in the project. So I'm going to take my head and I'm going to apply it to Mr. Z's body. So to do that, I'm going to use my tools over here on the left-hand side. The tool that I'm going to use first is this third one down, which if you mouse over it, it says that it's the lasso tool. Now any of these icons that have this little black arrow in the corner of it, that means that you can click and hold on there to see other tools related to that. So the different tools, or the different lasso tools, are the first one, which is just freehand lasso. So if it allows me to kind of freehand draw around an object. Kind of hard to do, especially with how sensitive the mouse can be. You always want to come back to your starting point, and when you let go, it then selects and animates and shows what that selected area is. That's the first lasso tool. The next lasso tool in the list is the polygonal lasso tool, or polygonal lasso tool. What that allows you to do is click and draw points along the way. So I'll choose that one here. I will deselect that. And when you start drawing, it's wherever the tip of that little line at the bottom of the lasso actually starts. So if I click right here, it's going to plot my first point. And I've only clicked, and now I'm just moving the mouse. And so now I can move the mouse wherever and set my next point. So here I can set a point. I can go kind of around the ear and set a point. Okay, we're going to clean all this up later with the eraser, so it doesn't have to be exact, but you save yourself some work here if you try to get as close as possible. So if I click, 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 click all the way around, I'm missing this on purpose just to go a little quicker, all the way back around. And again, I come back to the starting point, and when I get close to that starting point, a little circle appears showing that I'm going to close the loop. So I do that, and there is my selection using the polygonal lasso tool. So now that that is selected, you're going to do a simple copy and paste. I'm going to go up to Edit and choose to copy. I'm going to then switch over to the picture of Mr. Z, and I'm going to do an Edit, Paste. And it's going to paste my head right in the middle of his chest. So now what I did here was I clicked on the first tool, which is the Move tool. The Move tool allows you to move objects within your picture. When you click on the Move tool, you can then put your cursor and click and move that object wherever you want. So here's my head floating around. Now the only reason that this is occurring and working this way is because over here on this bottom right hand window, I am looking at the Layers menu. The Layers menu is selected, and what this is showing now is it's showing the picture in layers. So the background layer is the picture of Mr. Z, and now the picture of my head free floating is actually layer 1. So I want to make sure that layer 1 is clicked on because that allows me any changes I make to happen only to layer 1. If I clicked on the background layer and moved that, that would allow me to try to move the picture of Mr. Z. Okay, now that you've got the new layer on top of the picture, and we want to move it into place. Now I went back and I grabbed a version of the head that has this other stuff around it because I want to show you how to use the eraser tool. Over on the left side here, about halfway down, is the eraser. So I'm going to click on the eraser, and it changes my cursor to a little circle that allows me to erase anything only on that layer. Now I'm only erasing stuff on the head layer. Notice it's not doing anything else behind here because I am clicked on layer on that layer 1, which is the head layer. So it's only going to allow me to erase on the head layer. Okay. Now if you're too far zoomed out here, you can use the magnifying glass to click and zoom in. And by click, 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 it takes you in a little further each time. To zoom out, you can, when you're selected on the magnifying glass, you can click on the little minus up here and switch between plus and minus mode. Minus mode takes you out, or zooms out. Plus mode takes you in. You can also draw a box around the area you want to zoom in directly to by clicking and dragging, and that'll take you right into that area. So I'm going to go back to my eraser tool. I'm going to use my eraser to kind of get rid of some of this stuff. Now depending on your image, if you want to make your brush size bigger or smaller, you can do that when you're clicked on the eraser up here at the top. You can click on this little brush drop down and choose how big to make your diameter of your brush. So that made it a little bit bigger there, but maybe I need to get in some smaller areas. I can decrease this down, you know, when I want to go around the ear, so on and so forth. So this is all clicking and dragging freehand. You're kind of painting out or erasing out the bad stuff. I'm going to go quicker here just for the sake of the demonstration. So I'm going to take all this stuff out, go around here, get rid of that third chin again, so on and so forth. Okay, yours should be a lot nicer once you spend some time actually detailing this, making it look nice. Get out any chunks from the old picture. I'm going to go back to my move tool. My move tool is the top tool. I'm going to move this into place, and when you move it, you can also see I missed some chunks out here on the side. So I'm going to go and erase those real quick. So I'm going to move this into position. I'm going to zoom out a little bit just to get a better look here. Now the size of the head needs to be a little bit bigger. I can do this under the Edit menu. There's Edit, Transform. And what we're going to do is we're going to scale that layer. So again, I have to be clicked on layer 1. I chose Scale. Now if I click and just drag any of these boxes, just like in Word, I can click and drag to make things bigger. Sometimes you run into a problem where it distorts things. There's a trick around that. The trick is to hold the Shift key. When I hold the Shift key and I grab a corner, it keeps the head proportionate. So that means that it doesn't stretch it out to the side or stretch it or make it look distorted. So I'm going to kind of make this a little bit bigger so I kind of cover Mr. Z's head here and move this into position. Now to get out of this mode, you have to hit the return key. So I hit return and that locks in the change. If at any time you're making mistakes, you can always go up to Edit, Undo, and that'll take you back to, that'll undo the last thing you did. So that'll take me back to that head size. I'm going to redo that because I like that head size. You can also do step backward. Step backward takes you back each step that you've been performing. So that'll take you back maybe 10 or 15 steps if you get to a point where you need to go back that far. For this assignment, just do the best you can using your head to cover up the other person's head. We're not going to worry too much about this background stuff for now. When that is done and after you've used the eraser tool to clean this up, the final step in this process is to flatten the image. You're going to go over to the Layer menu, and when you're in the Layer menu, there's this little menu here with the lines, this little button. You click on that, and that gives you a choice. Again, you have to be clicked on the Layer menu to see this, to flatten the image. Flattening the image takes all layers and flatten them down into one picture. So now this is all one picture. It's not in layers anymore. Now that I've flattened it, I can do a File, Save As, and you're going to save it to your student folder as last name -HeadSwap. Make sure you do look over the rubric so that you actually meet all the requirements for this. Go ahead and save it. And when you save, you'll get a choice for JPEG options. Just click OK. We're not going to change any image quality settings. That file's now in your student folder. You're going to put a copy of that in the Dropbox, and this assignment is complete. Make sure you turn in your rubric to the turn-in bin as well.